We need it done this year.
Yeah. Hey guys, I'm Tim.
I'm Bob.
I'm Spencer.
Dan.
And this is the Board Game Rundown. Today, we are going to talk about Merchants of the Dark Road from Elf Creek Games. This plays 1 to 4 players, 60 to 120 minutes, ages 12 and up, I guess. I mean,
Sure, maybe.
sure, maybe. So in this game, we are merchants
On a dark
of the Dark Road. The
that
game
coming.
plays in a series of weeks. The weeks symbolize the length of winter, basically, right? So I think it's like 13 weeks. And on your turn, you got all these fun little dice on your wagon here. Yeah, oh, an illuminated one too. We should have had that set up to start. Anyways, so what you're gonna do is basically you've got a pool of die that you have rolled, and then you are going to select from that pool to take one of these 3 actions, and whichever die you want, you bump it. So this now goes up here. By taking the second action, I could gain a lantern or use my illuminated die. And then the die values showing, so a 2 or a 1 says how many spaces I can move. Not combined, I pick one or the other. You can if you don't use the illuminated die, then you only get to use that one. And you have to move that many spaces.
And when you move, you have to go in a certain direction around.
Yes,
the
you're
board
always
too,
going
right?
clockwise around. And so, it's this one I got 2, so I'd go 1, 2. So there's these spots here on the board. They connect to different locations. So I could take a commission, which is going to help me when I go and do a travel the Dark Road.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I could go over. So here, I could do the excursions, right? So I could either go in this one. I can choose one of these 2 things. So that's sort of a unique space. And then, so I could do this or I could do that. We'll go through all of those in just a second. You've got horseshoes. You can spend to move backwards or forwards per horseshoe you spend. You can hold up to 3 on the bottom part of your wagon wheel there. You also use that space to hold burning quartz. You've got spots to hang lanterns. If you have lanterns, you can spend them to take a shortcut on the Dark Road, which gives you extra benefits.
Mm-hmm.
And usually an easier card to resolve as well, right?
Right, but you get last pick.
But you get last pick, but you get 2 picks, which is super nice. Also, right, let's see what else. Boom, boom, boom. That's moves. You can have heroes that can come along with you and put those
You can
anywhere.
throw those all over.
They go right up on the top. You can have up to 3. And you are going to also deliver those heroes to certain locations when you travel the Dark Road via Jurg's excursions. And then on the side, you've got those commissions you can fill up. And during the game, you're also going to be able to gain titles or deeds, I believe. And these are basically like end game victory points.
Yeah.
And so a lot of it is like set collection, things like that.
Yeah.
The horses, too.
Yes, we got the horses. So each player will have a unique steed to pull their wagon, which gives them an asymmetrical power. They're all pretty cool. That's how that works. Another thing that's really cool is you are buying and selling goods, and you have to fit them in your wagon. You've only got so much space.
Yeah.
And when you upgrade them, it's got that awesome gold foil side, which is amazing. They look fantastic. And then, the regular side, which are also cool, but not as cool once you see that gold foil beauty right there. Anyways, so basically really quick, each of the locations, there's an inn here to gain a hero. You're going to sell them a good. These are goods they want to buy. You're going to sell them at least 1 good, but you can sell up to 3. They've got 3 different things that they would like to buy. And when you do that, you are going to get the value of whatever the market is. There's this awesome little magnetic wheel here that changes the value of the goods. So that can rotate. Then once you get the money, they go here, you sell the goods, blah, 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 boom, you're done. If you sell an upgraded good, you also can gain a burning quartz. Super cool, very handy. Ooh, just like that. Then going up here to the Great Bazaar, it'll let you rotate the wheel or set any die face to the side you want. Because right now, those goods are the only ones available. So, let's just say I don't want muskets. Instead of rotating the wheel, I can make this an instrument because I really need to buy an instrument because I've got a guy I want to get or a commission that I want to fill for the instrument. Boom. Then you buy something. You pay the value of the good. There is a thing where if there are 2 goods and you can only have a maximum of 2 goods of a type on the wheel, it's basically a BOGO, right? So I can buy one, get one. So I can spend 4 gold and get both of these right there, just like that. But I could also spend 5 more gold and buy this too if I wanted, if you've got that much money.
Right.
So that's basically how that works. Commissions, you're just going to pick a commission for a specific village. They're all laid out over here, and they've got up to 3 goods that they want, and there is a varying level of victory points, either 1, 3, or 6, depending on how many of the goods you meet on there. Then over here, we have the Yurg's excursions. You can either travel to the ruins of Yin, where you can get one of these items, which is upgraded, and you're going to advance this token one anyways, and then an additional 1 per hero if you want. So you can move this around. It's going to give you an upgraded good, one or the other, or
Your choice.
pick your, the one you want. You could also spend a lantern to roll the ruins die, which is awesome. Gives you extra fun things. And then if you opt to not do the ruins of Yin, you can do the excursion itself, where you are going to now travel, and you're going to travel to one of these villages. This is really the meat and potatoes of the game. You're going to say, I'm traveling to Windglass, because maybe I've got a hero or a contract, or maybe both, or maybe a bunch of heroes I want to deliver to Windglass. And everybody else then, in turn order, gets to go, I'm going with you.
I'd like to go.
Okay.
Nah.
I don't get to say no. So when I pick, I'm also going to pick a companion, and if I pick the one on the end, and they just will shift down at the end, I get an extra travel die. They've got a special ability where I can give them a burning quartz. Thank you, Ice Mouse, and he's going to let me get another deed. You can do that anytime on your turn. Once they are full, they are done. You still have them, because maybe that's going to fill an end game scoring thing.
Yep.
But I can't use his special abilities anymore.
Right.
So then you roll travel. You're going to say whether you're traveling the dark road or whether you're taking a shortcut. You need to pay the 3 lanterns marked clearly on the card. You flip a card over. Everybody's going to roll their travel die and assign it to a certain area. Oh, man. Those are wonderful rolls, Bob.
Yeah, thanks.
And then when we travel the dark road, the leader of the caravan picks first. Well, I'm going to pick this one. That's going to let me roll the oracle die, I think.
Yep.
So I'm going to do that, right? I'm going to get this because it's much cooler. Oh, wait, that's the runes die. That's the oracle die. But you get the idea. Boom. Hey, I got a follower. So I get to either grab one of these guys. I don't get to sell them anything, but I do get to add them to my thing. So if I'm already going to Windglass, maybe I'm going to take a Windglass guy if he's available. If there's not, I could opt to top deck, right? Just take the top card of this. Hey, Windglass, better lucky than good.
I guess. It doesn't count.
So now that's going to be like extra points potentially with delivering. Then everybody else is going to go around and pick one of these things. Usually it's like 50-50, right?
Yeah.
1, 2, and 3 is usually negative.
so good.
4, 5, 6 is usually positive. Usually, not always the case. There are characters and things you might get that allow you to mitigate that,
Yep.
right? Like add or subtract to your die value, so on and so forth. Then once you get there, the leader of the caravan, I have to go to Windglass. So I'm only going to get what Windglass says. What everybody else can do is they can go to Windglass or Farglen, right? It's 2 different shades of green. It's in the same region. They do a good job of just keeping them close together, right? So you can go to the same region. So I can do all my Windglass stuff. So for each hero I deliver here, I'm going to get 2 victory points or fame, so boom, boom, boom. And then everybody else is going to deliver either their contracts or their heroes. It's all laid out right here, what you get. Obviously, there's bonuses for delivering upgraded goods because everybody likes upgraded goods. Then the leader of the expedition gets to take either a wagon upgrade, or they could get an illuminated die. They could get a new deed, or they can get money. And you can have 1 wagon upgrade per wagon. So it's good to get there early and get the one you want. There is a steed that lets you have unlimited, and you get more prestige every time you get a wagon upgrade. So there is that as well. And then, so that's pretty much travel and everything.
Not super important, but also the first person to take the money takes
5
instead
of 3. Yeah, so when you set up, you'll throw a 5er on there,
Yeah.
right? But yes. So another option you can do is also the dark market down here. Not near as exciting as traveling. But the dark market, you spend money. You move that, and then you're going to get the goods shown. And you can spend money per space that you want it to move with a maximum of 4. So it's going to always have to move 1. So you could spend 1, 2, 3, 4 to get it back to the one that it's on if that's what you really wanted. And it's basically just combinations of goods, and the very bottom space is a one or the other, either a title card or a commission up here. Now, if you use the illuminated die and you get both, this is the super important thing. Illuminated die are really hard to come by, right? So here, like we said, I can move either 2 or 1. So let's just say I decide to move to 1, 2, I'm now here. So the fun thing about the illuminated die and the really rewarding thing is now I get to do this location and this location and the middle building that's in between the locations. And I can go to whichever one I want in whatever order I want, but I have to completely resolve one before moving to the other. So in this case, I would probably roll the die, see what I get. Oh, that's the one where if I roll again, I get something. Okay, so just 2 prestige. So now I'm probably going to take a commission, and then I might decide if I'm going to travel. Well, where if I'm going to travel or if I'm going to go to the ruins of Yin. But that's basically how that works. They do a really good job of putting the icon. So it's either like it's a half of a dark die or half of an illuminated die here. And these have the illuminated die exclusively, meaning you can only do that if you've played the illuminated die.
Right. It's also literally the fork in the road,
Yes.
right? Is these two connected to point to this one, just like the fork?
Yep. Yep.
And these are double-sided.
These are double-sided.
Correct.
You can randomly assign
Lots of
what
different
locations
abilities,
you want them to go to, so on and so forth. That is basically how you play the game. That is the down and dirty
Yeah.
short version. They give you some really nice player aids where specifically the one side is specifically just how to resolve travel. Step by step how to resolve travel. That's the most complicated part of this game.
It's also half the board.
Yeah.
So
It
they
is
go
also
into
half
it.
the
So
board.
is this part of components then?
No. So
I'm just-
endgame
I'm-
scoring, we still need to talk about. How
Yeah,
do you
yeah,
win?
okay.
yeah, but I'm just going to point this out also. It also tells you where to find different things. So, like, how do I get money? How do I do that?
Amazing addition. Saying
Yeah.
like, oh, you want prestige this turn? Here's the best place to go. Sometimes the only place to go to get that kind
Sure.
of stuff. Fantastic.
And then end game scoring is so as we're going, as you use up all your die and these all get replaced, these all go away. You're going to remove one
Lose
die
one
from your
each
pool,
time. Yep.
roll again, and now I've got a smaller pool, and you basically are going to go until you can take no more actions.
Yep.
Right.
There's no big round reset or refresh. It just keeps going until everybody is out of dice.
Yep.
At the end of the game, you're going to count up. You're going to see where you're at prestige-wise. Some of your victory point cards might resolve first, so it might move up your prestige a little bit higher, or might move your money up a little bit higher. And then you're going to take your money and you're going to total that up, or you're going to look at them both, and you're going to move your score down to the lowest, whether it's your prestige or your money. Both times I played this, I've been really fortunate and been very close. Like I think I had like 34 and 35, so I just slid down to 34, no big deal. But we have seen it where it was like 35 and 25, and then it's
Yeah.
like that person drops down 10 more points. But they usually, in my experience, I've seen them make that up, right, with a bunch of other points.
Have you ever
in
seen one
different
do
spots.
it perfectly though?
Did you do it
You
perfectly?
did
I
perfectly,
did.
I felt like that was a loaded
But
question.
did you win?
No, I was close. I felt good.
I won. But
And then you have
anyways,
these, which are after the fact.
Correct.
yes, because those are victory point specific.
Right.
So that's basically how endgame scoring.
Yeah. Yeah. Very interesting system. We'll talk more about it later.
Yeah.
So next we go into components.
Components. What's in the box? So components, we've got awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome
the
dice.
dice are
Love the
awesome.
dice.
These things are pretty.
The Illuminate dice are so pretty.
The
All the
oracle
dice.
die, the
They're all
rune.
The
pretty.
printed equipment die.
Yep.
They're
Fantastic.
the equipment die are like chunky. They're different sizes also, so it's kind of hard to get these die and these dice,
Mixed up.
mixed up,
Right,
right? The travel dice, I guess, are the same size, but they look so different. This is not a Kickstarter version of this game. This is a retail, off the shelf of my local game store
Right.
version of this game.
The fancy gloss on the back.
Yeah,
It's
the
amazing.
gold foil.
Yeah, like I cannot explain how awesome this is. Like it's funny because we played this game and it has this thing where it tells you where to get all these specific resources. And then we started playing another game after that. And we're like, man, I wish I had one of those cards. It's like the first time I've seen this. Now every game has to have it. So this is
Yeah.
a new precedent, and it must be now in every single game from here forward. Let me know where to get all the difficult to find items because that is so helpful.
It's really good.
Yeah.
It's really
I
good.
also really like the artwork, especially on the
Yeah.
little companions and on the board. The people. It's very good artwork.
The artwork is consistent. I like the little bits of lore you get on the traveling cards.
Yeah.
I love that these, useless, dumb, right? But I love that these are mirrored mirrored images here to look like the two horses drawing a carriage.
Right, because he's taking the shortcut and he's taking the longer path.
Right, I really like that mirrored imagery there.
I do got to say the color's not great, right? These look a lot alike. These look a lot alike. But thankfully, everything has icons. Right? Icons are great. And yes, I was going to bring that up also too, Dan. So yeah, the fact that it's got the name on it or the icon does help to not have to ask questions all the time. Wait, is this one? Is this one? Because just look at the icons. So
this was an annoying, weird problem we had.
This is Dan's favorite thing to talk about in this game. More than how much he enjoys the game.
And by that, I mean I've talked about it twice. But yes, so these are the pieces here. You'll see the orange piece on the board, the red piece on the board. Nice little addition to show you on your
player
shield,
screen.
your screen, what that looks like. And then you'll see the pieces, though, are actually the opposite
Yeah, they got
artwork.
They got those mixed up.
Yeah.
Very strange move. Doesn't make a huge difference, but like,
because the other one's
how'd you miss
matched.
that, guys? How'd you miss that?
The other one's matched.
So that's something. I love every piece of artwork in this game. This game didn't blow my mind component-wise, like when I first played Tapestry or anything.
Sure.
But I have literally zero complaints except the rulebook.
The rulebook.
I know. Look, it's,
I was waiting
it's
for the rulebook.
square. I mean,
No, that's not our issue.
that's not it.
Nope.
No, not our issue. This game, now I've played it a few times, and have explained it because we actually did a video that we lost, and so this is our second attempt at this video. But having explained the game multiple times now, I understand it very well. Everything, I feel like I could teach this very confidently, but the rule book was a beast to learn from.
Yeah. And my biggest concern is
remember it
that
now.
if you think you know how to play the game and you're teaching yourself how to play the game wrong, it's not going to help future games.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
We found a couple small things like grammar typo things, but those weren't huge. The big problem to me with the rulebook
Agreed.
was this is your player board. Everything you do, like it takes place with you moving these dice, which, by the way, like Tim was kind of explaining earlier, is you sliding a die up here, this die slides up then, and then you take the action that is associated with the die you moved up, right? There is no player board breakdown in the rulebook explaining what these areas are called and how that works. It just kind of mentions, like, the die thing rolls up there.
It's at the last
right,
page.
and it shows this. So first of all, it's
at
after
the end.
everything.
It's at the very last page of the book.
And it doesn't
be the
name
first.
things. Like, it doesn't say what this area is called and stuff like that. Like, it says, like, this is where your inventory goes. These are the hero cards. Yeah, we know what the hero cards are. You explained that earlier in the hero cards section, right? But what is this area called? Show arrows of the dice going blanc blanc, right?
Yes.
Show the illumination die going here, right? This matters so much, and they don't explain it at all. And then even worse, when Tim was teaching the game the first time, he had this rulebook, and I pulled up the official PDF they had online, and it was a different rulebook. It had different rules. Like, I couldn't help teach the game because they had two different copies of the rulebook available. Like that, it just blew my mind.
I do really like the icon.
Hey, that's nice.
That is nice.
but they really, really, really missed
Yeah,
like
that opportunity.
big. I mean, more than an opportunity, like huge.
Yeah.
Because this also it's just not super obvious on the player board itself. So if they had designed this just like a little bit better,
Just an arrow.
some arrows, because we did teach this to a friend who plays heavy, complex games. And he just could not wrap. It took him probably the first
Almost half
hour
the game,
of the game just trying to wrap his brain around how these actions work. And I was getting frustrated because I'm like, come on, Mike, like you can figure this out.
You've played harder games than this, Mike.
Yeah. But he just couldn't. I mean, it's they're literally right above each other, but because you have this little,
Yeah, the weird separator.
you know,
It doesn't even
there.
have to be where it is.
Well, that's the thing. It doesn't. It could very easily be right above this, and I think it's placed
or like
better.
this
Or just
equals
below
this
it.
equals this, then say equals 1, 2, 3, right? And then you're
There's
like,
so many
oh,
other
okay,
ways
sure.
to do it that would have been
Yeah.
better.
But you
Because
know,
I say if all your dice are the same value, you can then reset them to a 1, 2, 3.
Right.
That's all that's trying to tell you.
right. It's just placed in an awkward spot where it doesn't make it clear that this die is only for this action, this die is only for this action, and this die is only for this action.
Right.
That's the tough part.
Yeah, and Tim did kind of mention it, but I think components we could talk about a little bit more. That market wheel is super cool. There's
Fantastic.
literally a magnet in there that keeps it in place so it spins around and doesn't go everywhere. Like
Yeah.
that's great.
Yeah,
That's
like
not part of the board.
when we were when we were setting up the game, I literally like slid the thing across and it stopped right on the spot. It was fantastic.
Yeah,
awesome.
that's pretty cool.
Also interesting is the modular.
Oh, yeah.
I say
Yes.
modular. It's not really modular because it has to fit in these spaces. But
I forgot I talked about
we
that.
are
Good stuff.
excited. We are excited because this opens up the possibility for expansions that can be done
Yes.
really easily, right? You could replace the ruins, you know, with a different.
Just like literally pop this guy right off of here, boop, and have a
put it-
new tile there that still has the ruins on, but maybe now it adds something else up here.
Right, or
You
maybe
know?
it doesn't have the ruins, but
Yeah,
maybe it just
something
still has
else.
Scorchborn and Northbreak, but
Right.
something else, or
Yeah.
different villages you go to, and
All
things
types
you
of
can do.
stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
There's
No, yeah,
lots of-
I totally forgot that we had talked about that the first time, and thanks for bringing it up because I remember saying like. We were like, why is the board pieces? That's such a weird way to do it. And then
Yeah.
I said something like, unless they're planning on making it modular.
Yeah, 'cause
and then we were all like,
Yeah, because it's these
oh,
spots, this spot. It's
yeah,
the
because it
market.
separates.
It's the-
this location. It separates these like it separates the locations. This
inn.
thing is
Yeah.
its own thing. Like if they were future proofing with that move, that's one of the smartest future proofing moves
like,
I've ever seen.
Totally.
I'd also like to point out that on a lot of the boards that fold, you do eventually start getting creases in them. If you're
Sure.
careful with this, you won't get that
if you're
crease.
careful. You
Sure,
can- you can get
don't
some-
tiles like this have a higher problem of
warpage.
coming warped though?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
it's possible,
that
yeah.
that's also a thing.
Something to
but
worry about.
they didn't.
One small criticism that I did have on the board design is that these spaces are kind of small, and until you're familiar with the game,
Right. They're overlooked a little bit.
they can get overlooked. Like, well, which ones are which again? And you kind of have to explain them. They do have a thing in the rule book which, like, very clearly has like this horseshoe, you know, like laid out with lines. But these circles aren't like super obvious. You know, I mean, they're artistic and they're nice. But I did take in both times I played it like a minute to kind of go, no, this is this spot. This is, you know, this goes here. Not the end of the world. Design, once you know, it's not that big of a deal. I think for the most part, once everybody's gone around the board once or twice, which
You got it
doesn't
figured out.
take very long,
Yeah.
you've got it figured out, right?
And I think it's interesting that all of these spots have the illuminated die action, except for this one. Does
Yeah, the
not have
starting one.
illuminated die action.
Right.
That's
It is what
okay.
it is.
Don't use an illuminated die there.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And you guys haven't seen the inside of a screen, so there's the inside of the screen for you. Nothing too fancy, but you know, just gives you some more information how the end game scoring is going to work. That's going to matter for you, right?
And you've got the screens basically to hide your money. So your victory
Correct.
points
That's
are
secret.
Your prestige is always visible, public, right? Because it's on the board, but your money is secret. So
And no insert, right?
Nope.
Yeah.
No insert.
So
No
no
insert.
insert, just a big empty box. Throw your pieces in there.
cool. So we've already gone over gameplay and components. Let's go into final thoughts.
Yeah.
Yep,
Final
yep.
thoughts and scoring. Okay, as we go into final scoring, we're all going to rate the game on a scale of 1 to 10. We do use 0.5s. That way you get all of our own personal opinions on the game because we all think different. Some of us are right, some of us are wrong. And then we will average them all together and have one score at the end of the video, and that's the kind of score that we'll put on Board Game Geek, Discord if someone asks, stuff like that. It's just easier to have a Board Game Rundown umbrella score rather than 4 scores that we're sharing with
7
everyone.
years ago?
And, yeah, there you
Beat
go.
me to it.
So, yeah, what are you thinking, Tim?
All right. I'm thinking Spencer.
No way.
Bing, bong, boom.
Oh, I remember I did have fun with the game. It did take a little bit of time to figure all the things out. The rulebook, by far, was the thing that knocked
It's-
it down.
yeah, it's
I
the
think
hardest
it knocked it down
part.
for a full point for me, which is really major. And normally I wouldn't do that because after so many times of playing, you don't need the rulebook anymore.
Right.
But if you can't figure out the game, you're going to have a problem. So in the end, I gave this one a 7.5.
All right. And that's your score still.
That is my score.
Bobby.
Okay. I really enjoyed it. It took me a little bit to, like I said, get into it, figure it out. But I love this little modular board. I love the horses. I love getting the guys and collecting them. I remember Dan and I kind of bumped heads a little bit because he's like, why should people get to go on the thing if they don't have anything to sell? It's like, well, I just want to travel with you. What if something exciting happens on the road? I want to be there for that.
I have notes.
But I thought that was super cool. I really also like the fact that you're taking 2 end game types of things, right? Almost like the castles of Mac and Liquid, where you're like, you got to score your lowest one.
Right.
You're going to start with your lowest one. So you can't just focus on money. You can't just focus on prestige. You want to keep them.
You got to try to balance them out
yeah.
a little bit.
And I really appreciate that. This, I love it so much. The where to find everything. I come down on an 8. I really enjoy this game. I want to play it some more. I want to try some of the different buildings. Yeah, that's where I come down at.
Daniel.
So a couple notes that I have here. Luckily, I kept notes from the last time because I don't remember anything. So a couple things. I know you already talked about it, but I love this new mechanic that is just like kind of make his way into games with lower score win thing. I love that.
Mark
What's
Nova does it.
Dan
No,
loves
Raja
lower
of
score
the
wins
Ganges.
because he
that's the
scores
one
low
that
all
we
the time.
played, Raja of the Ganges or
Yeah,
whatever
we
was
played
the
with
one that we
Jason.
played, and I was like, oh, that's cool. And then we played this, and I was like, oh, it's here. You know, like I
Mark
don't see
Nova
it very
does it
often.
as well.
I haven't been able to play it yet, but I've heard that. It's like slowly making its way as like a staple mechanic in like modern games, and I'm a big fan. I think that's a very smart mechanic, and it makes the end game interesting. So the next thing I have is traveling pointlessly. So as Bob was hinting to,
pointless.
I don't like the mechanic that if Bob has nothing to contribute to the travel, he can travel just to try to roll a benefit on the travel die, especially when one of the horses in the game lets you modify your travel die to have a better benefit than what you initially have. So you can just go on travels having nothing to deliver on the travel just because, oh, well, I'll just modify the die and probably get a benefit for going. I really dislike that mechanic to the point where I told him I might house rule it out. I think it's anti-theme. And I just don't like that at all. Now, again, I would just take it out for a game, and if I think it hindered the experience, I would put it back in. But I don't think it will.
So I guess to just argue that real quick, I think thematically it still does kind of work because you're going on the trip, but you don't know what you're going to encounter on the road.
No, 100%.
So what if you're
I
doing
just wouldn't let you come with me if you weren't contributing. Is what I'm
But
saying.
I could contribute. What if somebody attacks you on the road? You're
I
gonna wish
wouldn't-
I
I
was
wouldn't
there.
bring
Man, I
him.
wish
You're gonna
Bob was
wish
here.
that he rolled that
I
travel
would
die.
never
what if
wish
I
Bob
rolled
was
that-
there.
what if-
I would never.
Usually
What if
that's
I had
me. I'm
rolled
really
a 6?
glad.
Now you're not going to be there for that 6 I
Hey,
rolled.
that maybe that hypothetical you just said.
Yeah.
Zero care.
There's also the fact
Okay,
that
that's fine, go
you determine who's going in order. So if I'm the one
Sure.
who decides to go traveling and Bob's next,
Yeah.
and he's got the thing, he's like, yeah, I'm going to travel.
Right, but if he's last,
But
then
if
he'd be
he's
like,
last, he'd be like, no, no,
probably
I don't
not.
wanna
Right.
go.
Anyway, the color mistake I already brought up, just a
Yep.
weird issue. I brought up a second ago, I did feel like in our game we played, and now Tim, you've probably played with more horses because you've played more than me now.
Yep.
I did feel like the horse that Bob had was just clearly the best ability.
But he didn't win.
I did.
No, true. That doesn't,
I had the multiple upgrade horse, and I thought that
was
was the
pretty
best.
good.
Yeah,
ability
that's
because
pretty
I really
strong.
liked.
There's so
having-
many cool
You only
upgrades.
had 2, right?
He
I
didn't,
had
he didn't push
3.
for it though.
I only had the one horse, but I had at least
3
3 of the
upgrades?
upgrades by the end of the
Okay,
game.
the first game we played, I swore you only had 2, but regardless, I just personally felt like Spencer Mine's horses didn't hold a torch, lantern, to Bob's horse. But I mean, who knows?
What
Playing
was
with
yours
more,
again?
This one here, the one that has the +1
Oh
to die
yeah,
thing.
that's huge.
it's just
It was
huge.
huge.
It's huge.
It,
Yeah.
like compared to the others, I just felt like it was
Right.
dramatically.
It makes that 3 that sucks to 4. Hey,
Right.
that's good.
Well, the big difference, which is a hard part to balance in games, is that ability is always useful, and it's really hard to find to balance abilities that are always useful but maybe not as good versus abilities that are insanely powerful but are rare to use. Right, like that's a hard thing to balance, and I just felt that struck a really good
yeah.
medium.
Well, I mean, it's only good if I travel.
Right, but again, that's half the game, like at least, So
It is
yeah, that's all
a
I'm
lot
saying.
of the
Okay.
game.
And then honestly, I have a note here called different companions. No idea what that note's trying to say.
Different
There's 2
companions.
different kinds of companions.
Yeah, there's the strays and there's loyal. So the stray
Yeah.
companions,
When you use
when
them,
you
they
use
go-
them, you pass them to the player to the left, and they tell you basically when you use that. So shortcut at no cost. Once this companion, once used, this companion moves to the left.
Right.
So it's all very self-explanatory.
That is a very good ability, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't see that the
which
first
is
game.
why you have to pass it.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So yeah, those are some of my final thoughts. Oh, one thing that I wanted to mention too, because I mentioned this last time. I love this
spatial mechanics.
this spatial.
Yeah.
I love spatial games in general, and I love this. I don't even call it Tetris, but I know what you could easily call it that. But
Sure.
to me, it's that old RPG video
Right.
game.
Okay, shove this
Yeah.
thing in here
Diablo.
somewhere.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're getting it's a looter game where you're getting all this loot and you're like, I want to carry all of it. How do I fit it in my inventory? I really like the feeling, and there were a couple times that I had a full inventory when I was
And there's
playing.
even
This
heroes-
musket ain't going.
And when you get the heroes, they give you extra things, right?
Some of
So
them
he
do.
gives you a
Some of them give you
lantern.
an extra move.
They
Right.
all
Yeah,
give you
yeah.
something.
Right,
right?
those
You
are
know,
all
horseshoe.
lanterns, by the way. That is not how the game works. So there you go.
That one
but
gives
there's
a
bunch of
extra
different
But
ones.
that guy can just hold one thing. He
Yeah,
can
of
hold
any
any one
size.
item
Yeah.
of any size.
And then we didn't really cover it, but there's also a little crafting mechanic here that I like as
yeah,
well.
that's the crafting.
So yeah, there a lot of positives here. I honestly thought I liked this game by far the most out of everyone last time I reviewed it, and I'm glad to hear that that's not exactly the case because I'm giving this game an 8 out of 10, and I honestly think the more I play it, it'll go up. I thoroughly enjoy this game. The only issue that I had with the game was it played long and it was difficult to learn, and I said this in the last review. I just don't think it's 100% the game's fault. The rulebook sucks, but also I just personally, if I'm teaching a really big game like this, this. I spend a week ahead of time learning the game. I have more time than other people. I don't have kids.
But also, I don't think a game should take a week to learn.
I'm not saying it
would
should,
get
but while a game shouldn't take a week to learn, you also shouldn't show up to a game night not knowing how to play a game and say, I'm going to teach it. That's what I'm saying.
No,
I just say I usually take a week because my memory's terrible. So I drill stuff into my head, and I'm just like, I want to be able to, when someone asks me a question, I want to be able to answer it, even if I don't know the rulebook in and out. I want to be able to be like, yes, it plays like that. I don't remember why, right? Like that kind of thing. I want to be able to do that just from reflex. But I give it an 8 out of 10, and I can't wait to play more. I think it's a really cool game.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I think this would be an 8.5 if that rule book wasn't so bad.
It's so bad.
if the rule book wasn't so bad, it would be an 8.5 for me. Just to not beat a dead horse.
Right.
I am.
No.
I'm just gonna say, no, my whisper.
Not
died.
whisper.
No, it's the best one. I want to keep him.
No, it's an 8. It's an 8 for me. I've played this a couple times now, and I really like it. I look forward to being able to teach it. I do not look forward to someone going, "Hey, can I see the rule book?" Because I'm gonna say, "Yeah, true."
Oh, there isn't one.
But they do so many things right. The beginning of the rule book is really clunky in explaining this. It's terrible. Everything else is really good. The artwork, the theme, the components, all top notch. Had a fantastic time playing this. I was actually getting frustrated with a friend who it was not clicking with, and I sort of blame the rules and the layout of this player board for that,
Not
because
being
I feel like
intuitive as it might be.
I don't like to tell people that they're wrong, but when he's talking about like, well, I hate this game and it's terrible because this doesn't make any sense, and I'm like, no, you're wrong. It makes sense. You know, it's just not explained well. And I
Right,
think if it was
sure.
explained well, because even though I'm saying, yes, this just goes to this, it doesn't look like that because of this stupid bar right here.
Right.
Which could be anywhere else on the board, anywhere
yeah.
else along here. So I couldn't get
Or
that through
below
his through his head, right?
Yeah.
That that's how that works, and that's what that does. But I mean, everybody else that I played this game with really liked it.
Right.
So I know that I'm very comfortable in recommending this game to most people, and I think even I don't even think it's really that heavy of a game, because once you know the mechanics, it's pretty straightforward. You know?
I mean,
Like,
there's because people might hear like market manipulation and be like, ooh, but it's like it's so basic.
Yeah.
yeah, it's really
it's the most basic.
you just
Looks
move
more
this thing.
complicated than it really is.
So if you take all of our scores and you average them together, 7.9.
7.9.
7.9, pretty good. I also
Pretty
wanted to
solid.
point out, because I actually haven't seen this before, and Tim, you just noticed this,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
While you
finger
were
notches.
backing it. So, yeah, nice little finger notches in the board to help
like
with
that.
opening the box and stuff.
I dig
think
that.
that's
I like
nice.
it.
Again, the production quality is here.
really good.
Yeah.
Super
good.
Super good.
Yeah.
Super good. No complaints on that. I just wish they would have maybe, like, whatever time it took maybe to just make one of these shiny, that they could have just made this a little better. You know, if that translates somehow.
I don't think so.
Like, in my brain.
Where's
It's
that into our annual budget? Less shine, more rulebook.
Yeah.
Can we work on that later?
just tweak the rule book. You don't even need more. Just
hire me. I'll do
a
it.
little bit. I don't know about that.
I wouldn't do that.
We need it done this year.
But anyways, this Merchants of the Dark Road, we all had a really good time with it. We all recommend it pretty highly, and nobody's turning down an opportunity to play this, right?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, cool. So for the board game rundown, I've been Tim.
I was Bob.
And some Spencer.
Dan.
We'll see you next time.
Thanks for checking out the Board Game Rundown. If you like what you saw, like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. Share our videos on social media and spread the word. We publish new content weekly, including reviews, unboxing, and Let's Plays. And as always, thanks for watching.
Bobby.
He's saying start.
No, I guess Dan.
Me?
Yeah, how do we do our scoring?